Welcome to the Holy Smokes Club podcast. I'm saying that for the first time, and I'm here with the founder, the godfather, the Pope of the Smoke, Hiramine. And you and I just talked that it's something that just hit me this trip when I was sharing the podcast feed with someone. And I think you had said it at one point, the Holy Smokes Club podcast. And I was like, we really probably should rebrand and rename this the Holy Smokes Club podcast because we are trademarked. Holy Smokes Club is trademarked.
That's correct.
As a social club.
That's right. Internationally trademarked.
And there is, like here in the States, there's a tobacco shop in Florida that's trademarked Holy Smokes. And so...
There's some barbecue places.
Yeah, exactly. There are a whole bunch, and even when you're searching through on the podcast feed, when you're looking at different podcasts, you search Holy Smokes, people would often say, okay, which Holy Smokes is this?
That's right, they do.
Because there's one, Holy Smokes, Cigars and Spirituality. There's another one, I think there's a Catholic one. The Cigars and Spirituality may be Catholic, I don't remember. But it's been a while since I've looked. And so I think we're going to go forward, the Holy Smokes Club podcast. I'm going to have to now freaking go in and go change the graphics and all that jazz. Lord have friggin' mercy. But, yeah, I mean, this is the Holy Smokes Club.
It is.
I mean, we say Holy Smokes for short.
Yeah.
But that's what this is. It's a club.
That's right.
Over 5,500 members around the world.
Yeah.
And you've been here now in Franklin, Nashville area, for 3 years.
Yes. It'll be 4 years October.
Yeah.
October 31st. Halloween night, we moved here 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's been a great experience. Just thriving, building roots here, and just getting to know new people.
And every time I'm out here, I try and come out here once a year, maybe more. Hang out with you and Julie, especially if you're in town. The guys that you have that are moving here and are becoming a part of this community, there's a real excitement around here about stuff that's going on that it just feels electric.
Yeah. It's super interesting. When you start talking to people who have lived here for decades or they've grown up here, there's one person here named Brett Henry who is, I believe, 7th generation Franklinian, like 1700s kind of stuff. And he has shared, like, in the last 10 to 15 years, they've started seeing a trickling of influx of people here. But then in the last 5 years, 7 years, a massive influx. And I've been in the last 4, and I am stunned at the quality and the caliber of people that are moving into the Nashville-Franklin area, especially Williamson County. Williamson County is the county just south of Nashville, which is Davidson County. So Williamson County is the one directly south of there, about 20 minutes from downtown. And Franklin is a town or city, which is a suburb of Nashville. And, Steve, as you know, I was in Colorado Springs, where the birthplace of Holy Smokes was. And
your backyard?
Yeah, the backyard there, in the fire pit. Yep. Many good times there. And I miss all my friends there. But when the Lord called us to move, we trust and obey Him. And we landed here in Franklin. But in the 90s, when I went there in 95, I went there with the ministry and helped raise the money and helped build the World Prayer Center on New Life campus there. There were a ton of ministries moving in. I think right now there's over 280. I mean, Focus on the Family, where you worked with Dr. Dobson. I mean, they were probably one of the first ones, but they already had Young Life there. They had Compassion there, and they also had, who else? Navigators. So they were already there. So these are established
International
ministries.
Bible Society there as well? Or did they come in later?
No, I think they came in from Chicago. Yeah, area. So in the 90s, you saw ministries moving out of Chicago area and California, and they either went to Orlando or they went to...
North Carolina was another hot spot.
Some. But really, the majority of the people, of ministries that moved out, went to Colorado Springs.
And it was electric.
Oh my gosh, it was great.
I remember when I got there in 97, it was just electric. The people that were coming in because of New Life or Focus or Compassion or one of the ministries or Woodman Valley, stuff was going on really good there as well. It was electric.
That's right. It's super fun.
And it feels very similar here
Yes.
right now.
But what's different about it is it's led by the private sector. It's businessmen and women who have been very successful in the past, or not, regardless whether successful or not, how you define that. Like what we heard from Ken Coleman yesterday, how do you define success, right? But which sort of a good plug for the podcast for Ken Coleman is they have lived in another part of the country or another part of the world. We have people from London, from Asia, from other places that have moved here because the Lord has led them to, of all places, Franklin, Tennessee. And just heard yesterday that there was a Orange County Business Journal came out with a article about them opening up a office, In-N-Out Burger.
In-N-Out corporate headquarters is
for the Eastern Territory in Franklin, Tennessee.
It's crazy.
Literally about 5 minutes from my house, which I'm super excited about because that means, of course, there's going to be a retail In-N-Out Burger. So
they'll set up the distribution center somewhere like they did in Colorado Springs.
they're going to do it. They're going to do it right there. Yeah, their university, In-N-Out University, where they train up their, staff and leadership.
Really?
So I am amazed at the people. I've literally met probably around 700 people in the last 4 years, one-on-one. Many over cigars.
Yeah.
The first thing I ask them is, hey, do you like cigars? And if they don't, I tell them the first one's free. Reel it, get them right in. And just hearing their stories has been so rich. So not only just business folks, but also ministry folks. And of course, the mix here in Nashville is such that because of its history as a music city, right? Is you have tons of creatives. So not only creatives in the music scene, but also in the film scene are moving out here. And then storytellers is really big up out here. A lot of larger ministries are moving here as well now. But really the main driver of it all has been the private sector.
And some incredible human beings.
You've had some fun interviewing some of these folks, huh?
They're just, it's some really,
Yeah.
I'm always impressed whenever I interview someone. Everyone on the podcast has been just a fun conversation that I can remember. Oh yeah, I remember this about this one, and I remember this about this one. But this trip in particular, it just feels like it's a whole other level. And
tell me more about that. See, what are you getting?
Yeah. Well, this trip is unusual in that I have known very little going in, because it was you just sending a whole bunch of texts introducing me to people. This guy needs to be on, and this guy needs to be on. Okay, all right. No real context at all. And it's just been a matter of me starting to unpack their story and hear their heart and hear the way in which they talk about you in this community and what it has meant to them. And the others that are here, like Jamie Slingerland comes up consistently. The guy's freaking awesome. I absolutely love Jamie to death. And he may be walking in as we're recording this.
Cool.
Because he was texting me, are you around? Are you available? And I've seen Jamie.
Yeah.
I didn't see him yesterday, but I did see him twice when I got here on Monday.
Yeah, he's become a real pillar of the community here.
My God, he's just, everyone loves Jamie. Yeah. Everyone loves you. And with John Peterson now here.
Oh, it's
our
incredible.
past Holy Smokes guest was in Colorado.
Right. City Table is here, yeah.
Now he's here.
So
and that really, everyone that is just, John has just added so much to this community.
Yes.
And
yeah, let me just share a little bit more about that because it gives some color and context of his move. So every conversation I have, pretty much 100% of the people I meet who are followers of Jesus, they all say God called them to move here to Franklin, but they don't know why.
Yeah.
And I was getting frustrated, bro. I was like, there's got to be a reason why the Lord brought you here for a reason, right? But quite honestly, I think God allowed that to happen because so many of them are type A's, and they would basically tell God what they're going to do, and then they find scriptures to back it up. That's how they operate in the past, right? Like we all do. We've all done that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it put them in a position that, I moved my family here from Chicago or LA or New York or London. or from somewhere else, and I want to do it God's way this time.
Yeah.
So there's a sense of brokenness and submission to the Lord that is so tender and sweet when you meet these guys, because these are high-powered dudes too.
Yeah.
And so just pastorally, I was feeling like, man, I got to help walk with them in this journey, but I feel ill-equipped to take them the next step. And that realization, I realized, I spent 6 years with John in a table, which was a small group of us, about 5 couples, and we did life together, and we were in the journey together, good, bad, and the ugly. It was beautiful. And I realized John, with his ministry at City Table, would be so beneficial here. So he started coming out basically on his own dime. Some of us supported him, but primarily he came out lovingly, just came out here. I said, bro, we need you here to just meet people and just walk alongside and give wisdom.
And he has history and connections here, so it wasn't something
That's
that
right.
it was like he was going into some place blind.
That's right.
I mean, he's super close friends with the governor.
Yeah, the Governor Bill Lee, our governor.
Yeah.
Known him for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
So he's very close with him. And so he started meeting people. And finally, he and I started talking about, well, what if we set up cohorts where we could walk with guys through this process of, first, what's their identity in God? Because it starts with inner transformation first, and a realization of who we are in relationship with the Father. Second is, what is the kingdom? Because there's so much verbiage out there of what is the kingdom of God, and kingdom of God's this, kingdom of God. But what does the Bible say? What is the kingdom? And John and Ken Yonke, who's his partner at City Table, articulate that so well, and they have some great teachings on it. And the third aspect is, okay, with that inner transformation, identity taken care of, or at least in a journey towards wholeness, and understanding the context of what is the kingdom, how do we see transformation then? What's our role in transformation, not only in our families, but also our church, and then also our community locally, and then also the world. And so out of that came 4 different, what we call tables, because we met with the Williamson County Board of, county board basically, and we asked them, what's your main pain points here? And one of them is mental health. We have one of the highest suicide rates, ironically. We're one of the wealthiest counties probably in the country, in the top 10 arguably per capita, but a lot of young people and older folks, we have mental health issues. It's really sad. Mm-hmm. Another is the whole issue of foster care. What do we do with widows and orphans when it comes to that, which is really close to my heart. My life verse with Julie is James 1:27, which says, true religion undefiled before the Father is ministering to widows and orphans in their distress and remaining unstained from the world. And widows, present day widows, of course there's widowers like yourself, but it's single moms and dads.
Yeah.
So how do we serve them well, and especially the children as well, because there's a foster care crisis, really, I think arguably across the country, but here same as elsewhere. Then we're also dealing with housing issues, but so when these men go through these cohorts, we say, okay, what are the 4 topics or 5 topics or 6, whatever, that you feel like God's called you to help? So they sit on that table as a resource, and we do asset mapping of the community, and we say, who's out there doing stuff? Whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's Christian or not, what church is out there doing stuff, what government agency is doing that, and then we come alongside of them. So we don't replicate or start another ministry. We say, how can we, with the assets that we have, whether finance is minor, really, when it comes to
time,
things.
network, relationships.
Mental acuity. I mean, these guys run billion-dollar corporations, some of them, arguably. And so you just go, man, that'd be, how can we bring that to play and help serve the community that way?
Yeah.
So we're in our 3rd cohort now. We have about 55 people that have gone through it or are going through right now. Our first group is only 7, and that's Greenhouse 1. Some of my tightest friends, we did that 2 years ago, bro, and it was really precious time. And we also have a couple pastors in there in that first one, because we want the church represented there.
Was Darren in one of them?
Who?
Darren?
Tyler? Not yet.
Okay.
No, yeah. we've invited him, but timing-wise, it hasn't worked out.
Yeah.
He's a pastor of Conduit Church, which is an awesome church.
Yeah. We've had him on the podcast.
Yeah.
He's a special
awesome
dude.
Oh, he's awesome. He's an awesome bro.
Darren.
Yeah, Darren's awesome. And the second cohort, we had, 15 or so, and then the third one, we have over 20 plus. So what we're doing is just trying to build a community. Alongside of that, we have what's called the conservatory. So that's greenhouses for the men. Then we have conservatory, which is for the ladies, and Julie and Mindy Peterson, John's wife, which, by the way, John and Mindy have moved here. They sold their house and by faith moved here, serving this community, which has been really humbling for us. And we're so blessed, as you said, having them here.
Yeah.
And the gals are going through basically similar teaching downloads, then also for the women, building that community for them as well. Mm. And then we have meals together, which has been super, super just powerful from the standpoint of building relationships.
That's awesome. What are you excited for?
What I'm most excited about is seeing the inner transformation of the guys in their walks with God. That some have said for the first time, now I know why I was created. Mm. Other people have said, I never knew how to hear God's voice.
Yeah.
Others have said, I've heard God's voice, but I've been too scared to do it because I didn't want to do it alone. Now I have a community.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. So I'm super excited about the inner journeys and growth and walking. We call it coming alongside in their journey. Mm-hmm. We're all in a journey together, and we're all kind of sojourners, it says in the Bible. So we're all sojourners together as we're doing this. And then ultimately, of course, the outcomes of what's going to happen in the community, but really it starts with a good, strong core of people. And often what happens is when things like this happen, it just stays there. It becomes very inward focused and never goes out to the community. But we're very intentional and very upfront in saying, this year we are going to be doing these things to bless the community and move out and start exercising our muscles relative to works. Faith without works is dead, right? Mm-hmm. So.
And you are finally working on a book.
I am, yeah.
Let's tease it. We'll do a much longer episode as this thing starts to really be done. You're probably only, a third of the way done with it?
Mm-hmm. That's right. So for probably about the last 30 years, people have said, Kay, you need to write a book. And I've been resistant, and whether it's false humility or just lack of confidence, I'm not sure which, could be a combination of both. I said, man, I don't.
And time, because it's a big freaking investment of time.
It's a heavy lift. It's a heavy lift, yeah. I felt like I didn't have anything to share to add to the milieu of voices out there. But in the last 6 months, out of total context, bro, like people will say, dude, you need to write a book. I'm like, okay, 5 different people, right? And the last time it happened, which really was kind of like the stick on the camel's back that broke it, finally was like, okay, I gotta, God's, you're speaking, I gotta obey, was my time actually with Ken Coleman. He had heard from, this was about 7 months ago, he had heard from about 5 or 6 people that he needed to meet me. Because, for whatever reasons.
Yeah.
And so we got together for a cigar, of course. And the first question he asked me was, Kay, what is the one word as a leader that defines you? Or a sentence. And right away I said, I'm a net weaver. And he went, whoa. He goes, Kay, I've interviewed 10,000 plus leaders, and no one has ever come up with that one word so fast. Tell me more. As I'm sitting there, I had this image of this Middle Ages Renaissance tapestry. Have you ever seen one of those, Steve? It's this huge, it's on the wall, usually a Bible scene or a battle scene of some king. But have you ever seen the back of one? No? It's a bloody mess. I mean, it's like, has no reflection of what's out front.
Yeah.
And so a net weaver was a person that actually brought the different threads together and wove them together to make this beautiful tapestry of life in the front come to life. And so I told him, I said, a net weaver's behind the scenes, knitting together different people's stories together to create a tapestry of life, of beauty for the world to see. And he was like, dude, there's a book in there. You got to write a book. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're like the fifth dude. And so he walked with me through that process. And tough questions. We had a 90-minute session where we just drilled into whether there's an idea there for a book. And then we talked about, would it really add value to people's lives by going through it? So I'm calling it Net Weaving, the book. I'll just leave it at that. And I'm on chapter 4 now. And so it'll come out, it'll be done by June. And right now I'm really just praying through who to publish with right now. I'm super excited.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
And really, it comes down to a phrase that I heard from a very dear friend. The greatest gift you can give a friend is a friend. And that's been kind of at the heartbeat, I think, of
your life.
My life. And I think Holy Smokes is creating great places like Holy Smoke gatherings where you can make new friends.
Yeah.
And be a friend for those that are lonely and hurting and desperate for life.
Hiramine, thanks for being on again, my man.
Love you, brother. Thanks for volunteering and coming out to Franklin and serving this community so faithfully over the years. You've been a great partner in this.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, brother.
Hey everyone, I wanted to announce that we have Holy Smokes gear. That's right, we have swag. We currently have hats, shirts, stickers like for your vehicle or your travel humidor, magnets, even branded bourbon glasses for a limited time. Go to holysmokes.club and click on the shop tab. That's holysmokes.club. I'm super proud of the shirts. They're made with Bella canvas shirts that are soft and incredibly comfortable. The hats fit wonderfully, which can be a problem for those of us with big noggins. We plan on having a lot more to offer, like Guayabera shirts, additional t-shirt designs, beanies, polos, hoodies, cigar accessories, and much more. Check it out. And even if you don't make a purchase now, be sure to sign up for that email list, as I've thrown a couple big discount coupon codes for those exclusively on that list. So click the shop tab at holysmokes.club. Thanks.